Well, as Mondays are the most boring days starting the week, but here in DWZ we always keep your Mondays exciting. For today, we in fact going to be doing two reviews. The first one is from Ganbare Pro from their much recent event from early this month, Wild Gamble. We do have some interesting matches. For example, we do have a number one contendership for the Spirit of Ganbare World Openweight Championship. So we have many contenders who will be who will be the one lucky enough to face the champion Kisuke Iski, and of course we have the tag team titles will be defended as well. And then we move on with our last review featuring the DESPE Invitacional, which means DESPE Invitational. This is a show produced by a Desperado. Apparently, he sent out invitations to various wrestlers, but we just don't know who's going to be involved and what kind of matches will it be. So we're just going to have to find out. And then, of course, we cap up our episode with some news updates to give you guys updates what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events and promotions to throw out, who's booked, what matches are set, excuse me, and of course, other developments that are happening in the world of pro wrestling. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Leaded Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to the Leaded Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, Jay right here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world where pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also do more news updates. If I'm unable to put it on this episode, I can put it on a separate video by itself. We also do real timing news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of pro wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also do the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool things as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us. So click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, all introductions have set aside, it's time to rock and roll, baby. So let's begin with our very first review, Ganbare Pro. Okay, Ganbare Pro Wild Gamble. Pretty good show. Five matches to be in total. So let's begin with our very first match. Our first match is a singles match. We have Shota Kawakami. He takes on Harley Jackson. Now, of course, Harley Jackson is a big, strong dude. You would think that his massive size would have been is the deciding factor of this match. It kind of did. You would think that because many wrestlers have challenged him before, but Shota had no chance, no chance in hell, because Hartley Jackson applied the Death Valley Driver, and just like that, he picked up the win. Our next match, we have the only Yoshi match involved, but in a tag team setting. We have team number one, Bani Oikawa, and straight up from 2AW, Ayame Sazamura. It's been a while since I've seen her. They take on Yuri and Arukaze. Now, as you probably would think that Yuri and Arukaze are the homegirls of Ganbare Pro would defend it against, of course, from people who were like Bani, who's been determined to be part of this promotion, and Ayame, who's from another promotion. But however, in the end of this whole thing, it was, of course, Ayame Sazumara who picked up the win when she applied a double foot stomp on Arukaze, giving her and her teammate the win. Next, we have another tag team match. We have Tatsuya Hanami. I don't know much about him. He teams up with Yomehiro Inamari. They take on um, what's his name? Tsuyoshi Okada and Kisuke Ishii. Now, don't know about this guy, Okada. I don't think he's related to Kaguchika Okada. But anyway, I didn't know much about this guy, but nonetheless, the match was okay from from my point of view. But the one thing that was a good, interesting factor of this is, if you guys or know this or not, Kisuke Ishii is the current um, Spirit of Ganbare World Openweight Champion. So that means he could have been pinned by either, of course, Inami and, of course, Inamari for a shot of the belt. Nope, it was a tag partner who ended up on the wrong side of the powerbomb by Inamari, just winning the match. Now, our next match is a battle royal for the number one contendership, who will be the one lucky enough to challenge Kisuke Ishii for the Spirit of Ganbare World Openweight title. So here's who we had. We have the boss, Ken Oka, Yuna Manaze, Balin Aki, um, Tyson Maeguchi, Hong Kong international policeman, portrayed by Chon Chido, who you guys may have seen in Choco Pro. The old man, Chabai Ji-chan, he took his sweet butt time to get to the ring. Daisuke, and then, of course, Minoru Fujita. Now, I don't know the exact order how this was eliminated, but I did notice that Tyson was the first. Uh, the Tyson was the first, and I lost track who was in it because, of course, a lot of chaos was going around when it comes to um, Ji-chan. Ji-chan, he takes his sweet time to get into the ring, especially for his old age. But anyway, I can tell you that this match ended with Hong Kong International Policeman when he applied like a somewhat version of the coffin drop. If you guys know that, he did something like that, but when he's at the top of the turnbuckle, he does this and then lift off, and just like that, he won. But of course, he gave his little promo. Kisuke Ishii, who's been keeping an eye on this match, comes out. He was about to say something, but of course, um, Hong Kong International Policeman wanted to shake his hand, but instead he just did this, walked around doing his little salute. Ishii had no idea what to say. He was like a bit of lost. He was like about to say something. He's like, no, no. So it must have felt a bit too embarrassed for him, knowing how things were. But I don't know. But anyway, our main event features the Spirit of Ganbare World Tag Team titles. The Renegades, who are the challengers, consistent of Mizuki Watase and Shigehiro Iri. They take on the champions Takuya Wada and Shuichiro Katsumata. Now, I'm very happy to see the Renegades together. Those who don't know, I'm a huge fan of them. The first time I saw them together was when they teamed up with someone you guys already know from AEW. If you guys didn't know that, when Sammy Guevara did his second tour in DDT Pro Wrestling, he teamed up with these guys, with both Watase and Iri, along with Facade. I thought they would look cool, but it was great to see both Watase and Iri teaming up together again, because they've always been a very fun and strong tag team. So Iri is a very strong, capable wrestler. And as for Watase, you may know him that he is the first ever uh, Ganbare World Openweight Champion, the first one, the inaugural one. But if he wins this match, he becomes a double champion, meaning he is the guy who has held both belts in this promotion. but it was a hard hitting match. But in the end, it was Watase with a forearm strike onto um, Katsumata, knocking him down, allowing himself to pick up the win, and just like that, it was completely over. So he and Erie are now the brand new tag team champions, and now he is a double grand champion. So that means he is the first person that ever held both titles. So we will see what happens from here on out. Some of you may question how many titles do they have? Well, particularly there's only two. In the past, they had to use other belts from other companies, but those were already been possession back to the original owners. But ever since then, they decided to go on or to have this for themselves. But yeah, so there's two titles. There's the Spirit of Ganbare World Openweight Champion, which is the top belt, and then there's the tag team belts, the Spirit of Ganbare World Tag Team belts. So so basically, we have, of course, the Renegades along with Ishii as our current champions. But we'll see who will challenge these guys next. And then, of course, we do know Ishii will face against a Hong Kong international man for the international policeman for the belt. So I think that's pretty much it right now with this one. Let's move on with the DESPE Invitational. Okay, the DESPE Invitacional, which means the DESPE Invitational in Spanish. Now, those who are not aware what this is, I'll explain it. Despe decided to produce his own self-produced show. Now, it's not the first time he did a self-produced show. He did it one time with his old running mates from, of course, their Suzuki Gun days. We're talking about Taichi and Taka Michinoku. Remember, they used to do the the Takataichi Mania events. But this puts him in a position where he has to choose. Now, we have no clue who he invited invitations to. There were certain people that were mentioned. One time he made a beeline to DDT Pro Wrestling and gave an invitational to Dan Shukodino. That makes me wonder, why did you invite him? You know the kind of person he is. Well, I don't know either, but he probably had some good specific reason. However, in the last, of course, when we saw Dominion, um, uh, Chris Carlton said that he and Walker actually received invitationals too by Despi. So I'm going to say that probably he had them become their commentators for the English section. Well, he just did that. But however, he does come out in this entire show. This took place just recently. Well, today actually, since it's a Monday over there in Japan. But anyway, he opened up with the show with the promo and all this, but he was involved in the first match. It was he introduced his little sister, Starlight Kid. Yeah, you probably ask yourself why he calls her little sister. Well, they do have like a certain dynamic as brother and sister. And then he called in Dragon Kid, and he declares him as his big brother. But he does have a someone who's else as a sibling, who he says he is older than him. That person is Mima Shimoda. So basically, you basically have the family right there, you know. But you have Starlight Kid and Dragon Kid team up. Let's call them the kids, you know, involved. But yes, so it was a pretty good match. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, Starlight Kid and Dragon Kid teaming up was fantastic. But seeing Despi and Shimoda was awesome too. I was like impressed by this match, but it was, of course, Starlight Kid who picked up the win with the Black Tiger leg killer onto Shimoda to pick up the win. I thought it was pretty fun. Now, when everybody left, Despy remained in the ring because he realized there was no guest commentator for the Japanese commentating team, so he asked Rina Yamashita, who was present, if it was okay that she can be the guest, even though she's already hammered. Well, I don't know how hammered she was. She was drinking, so she did it. I don't know if he's gonna pay her for this, but you know, anyway, it did. Now, our next match we have a bit of a four-way match. We have Doiki, someone that Despi is familiarized with. He faces against Eita, Daisuke Sasaki, someone who Despi has faced in the past, and Violento Jack. So basically, it was a four-way match. Wasn't too sure how it is, but I'm sure that certain people are fans of certain wrestlers. Me, I'm a fan of Doiki and Eita. I was either hoping that one of those two ended up, but however, this match did not go exactly like I thought. But it was a very big twist because it was a power bomb onto the Sasaki that was put away, and then but later he was pinned by Doiki, Eita, and Sasaki. So basically, all three of them were the winners, except for Violento Jack, which was really, really, really messed up. Now, our next match, we have Takayuki Ueki. He teams up with Minoru Suzuki. I did not expect that. I don't think anybody did, but of course, Chris Carlton said, "Do not look him in the eye. Do not look him in the eye." Yes, do not look into his eye. So their opponents is Hiromu Takahashi and of course Jun Kasai. I did not expect that because until they saw his daughter Gypsy was right there. Now, don't forget, guys, Jun Kasai, he is, despite being a legend in the deathmatch wrestling scene, he's a loving father. So if you guys ever seen him with his daughter, you know he is a wonderful father, despite of his reputation of what he does. And of course, you wouldn't expect that. But however, this match went into a different twist. Uh, Haramu brought in a boxes full of Lego blocks. And you're like, what? Yes, guys, it's a thing. Because I seen it on multiple occasions. I seen that with Shuna Katsumata and Akane Fujita because those two were fighting each other over the rights of it. Even Chris Brooks told them those two need to kiss and make up. But I don't think it matters in this one because it went kind of funny. Everybody had to take off their shoes because it's in pain if you're walking around without shoes all over the Lego blocks. But however, Yuiki made the biggest mistake of his life. The biggest mistake. Suzuki turned on him. Want to know why? Well, he looked him in the eye, so that's what happened. And Suzuki just gave him a good pounding. But it was, of course, first it was a Gotch style power driver to put him away, and then of course it was Hiramu who picked up the win. So everybody's happy with it. But of course Suzuki decided to have the last laugh when he intended to take out one of the young boys. He took off his shoes and his shirt just to have a little fun. But but yes, it was real fun. Now, our next match, we have a bit. But before our next match, we did see Despi. He made his way all the way to the Japanese commentating team, and of course, Rina Yamashita did a good job. So I hope he did pay her because Hiramu didn't pay for Chris Carlton or Walker when they did the All Star Junior Festival last time. But but anyway, our next match, we had a four-way match. It was Chris Brooks, Mao, both of them representing DDT. Then you have El Fantasmo versus Masashi Takeda. Now, this guy is a huge dude, a big name deal in deathmatch scene, especially with the promotion Freedoms. I thought this match was gonna go crazy. It did, guys. I mean, you saw a lot of plunder, but I don't think El Phantasmo's ever been in this type of match before. But he did a pretty good job. But unfortunately, the chaotic this match went, it kind of went into a time limit draw after 20 minutes. Nobody walked out. However, when everybody left, Chris Brooks remained in the ring. He asked Despi what kind of person decides to have a 20-minute time limit in a hardcore match. So he asked him if he can be in a match with him. So basically, it can happen. It will happen. So they shook on it. So we'll see where that leads us from here on out. Now, our next match, we have Zack Sabre Jr. making his appearance. No one expected that, but it was great to see him. However, these cryptic messages that recently, give me a second, that were happening throughout the entirety of the show with the hardcore match and all that, well, Zack Sabre Jr. was told you have faced the best technical wrestlers like Bryan Danielson. Forgot who else. Other people from hit his shield from CML. But there was one he said he hasn't faced here in will face in Japan, and that is Hikaru Sato. If you guys don't know who he is a well-respected martial artist, and he works with All Japan Pro Wrestling. He is a current All Asian Tag Team Champion with Dan Tamra, I believe. But yes, he's also on the same level as Zack Sabre Jr. But the great thing about Sato, he's the kind of person who knows how to get out the holes, which is something Zack Sabre Jr. doesn't often doesn't. He always finds ways to put you in a hole without even thinking, without you knowing that there's a way to do that. But this was a very, very tough challenge for him, for Zack Sabre Jr., but he prevailed with a submission, and just like that, it was over. Now, before our next match, we had a surprise visit for Dan Dino. He had a little chit chat about something. Apparently, he wanted to team with DESPE, and DESPE was like not too sure about this because you know Dan Dino about his character and all that. So they teamed up and they faced against the guys Ghetto and Dick Togo. So yeah, those two idiots actually had to team up. I thought it was a fun match. Not to mention Dick getting a piece of dick actually, but I was disappointed that this match lost. That Thespian Dino lost because it was Dino who ended up on the Ghetto clutch by Ghetto himself, and just like that, it was over. I'm like, man, what a huge disappointment. But nonetheless, the show was awesome. I do recommend people go check it out. You can see it on the New Japan On Demand. You'll be amazed by the show. So I think that's pretty much it for all our reviews, and I believe it's time to call it a day. Oops, I said I'd call it a day. My bad. I meant let's do some news updates on this one. So, uh, let's do that. Right now, let's begin with the updates with the promotions, starting out with two of GCW updates here. Now, as you know, this coming weekend, they will be in LA for the Hit 'em Up show. They announced that Jordan Oliver will be in one-on-one against Broski Jimmy. And then, of course, next month for the Bloodsport 11 show, I believe. Yeah, 11 on July 28 in Brooklyn. They announced Mike Santana will face against Homicide. It's interesting about this match. One, don't forget these two guys were part of LAX of two different generations. Homicide is the OG, and of course Santana part of that team that redefined it. I have to say it was a lot of fun to hear about this match. I can't wait to see it. Another match has been announced for the Richmond Invitational taking place later on this month on the 29th of June for the West Coast Pro Oasis Pro collaboration. They announced Loverboy Leo and Rancho Camacho will be in the same match. Now, as you know, on July 4th, we do have the Beyond Wrestling Americana 2024 when the Eagles dare. They announced for Joey Janela being part of it, so that's going to be fun. Now, those who know this or not, if you guys remember, Prestige Wrestling will have a interesting match taking place at the Combat Clash PDX on the 12th of July, and there is a All-Star Scramble match. Now, two names have been announced for representing DDT Deadlock Pro Wrestling. Let me pull that out real quick. Who will be? I forgot. I didn't put that in my notes like I should have, but luckily I saved it in my phone. Here it is. Yes. The ones representing Deadlock Pro Wrestling is LeBron Cozone and BK Westbrook. Now, the names have been announced to represent Prestige is Jaden and Sonico. So those guys will be representing Prestige. However, we haven't heard who will be representing West Coast Pro. hopefully we'll see that. Now, this is a match where it's a six-way scramble match, so we will see who will be representing. Now, as you know, I mentioned the DESPE Invitational. Uh, Chris Brooks wants to have a match against DESPE. Well, it's going to happen next month on July 21st for the DDT Wrestle Peter Pan. This is their version of WrestleMania or Wrestle Kingdom, that sort, so you should check it out. Now, is that time of year once again in West Coast Pro, especially for the Queen of Indies taking place on the 17th of August. 5 names have been announced to be involved. First, we have former WWE superstar Xia Li. She'll be participating. The Great Muda's daughter, the Great Sakuya, will also be there. Viva Van, Maya World, and Amazona. So I'm excited for that, everything on that for the Queen of the Indies. Hopefully, I get the chance to see it. Now let's talk for some developments. Now, some of you saw recently in New Japan at Dominion that Hikuleo and El Fantasma dropped the strong belts. I don't know how reliable is this or if this is 100% true, but Body Slam announced that Hikuleo this past Sunday, it was possibly his last match in New Japan Pro Wrestling, but those are saying he is probably bound to go to WWE, possibly join the Bloodline. Now, it's no secret that his brothers, Tama and Tonga, are there now, so most likely he could be the next new member. Who knows? But we'll just wait and see until this happens. Now, some interesting developments have happened in the world of Stardom. Now, those who know this or not, Stardom will be having one of those fan meetings, but apparently someone noticed something interesting. A couple of names are not even mentioned this because this will happen on June 30th. Those who know this, June 30th, this is the day of the Forbidden Door. So basically, that the names that were mentioned that are not going to be at Forbidden Door, they're not going to be at the Stardom fan meeting, is Tam Nakano and Oedo Tai. Now, I don't know what's Oedo Tai, but there are those that believe that she could be on her way to Forbidden Door. Now, why is that? We know that Tam Nakano has some unfinished business with Mercedes Moné. I wouldn't be surprised that if, by any means necessary, Mercedes defeats Stephanie Vakir, she wants to have a piece of Mercedes Moné at another time. So we could see that at some point. Now, as you know, last Wednesday we saw Zack Sabre Jr. talk about Orange Cassidy, that he wants to challenge him at Forbidden Door. So, you ask yourselves, why? Well, that's a good question. I mean, why? But his comments about that is very surprisingly. Let me pull that up. Here it is. This is what he had to say. People who think Orange Cassidy is just a trash or joke are idiots. Cassidy is elite. He's an elite wrestler. Anyone who doesn't think so is an idiot. You know, he's absolutely right. If he sees that he's an elite, that whoever said that he's a joke, that he is not meant to be there, well, pardon my language, and in the words of Zack Sabre Jr., they're just a bunch of dickheads. That's what I think. So that's the reason why. Now, those who know this or not, President Taro Okada made a decision to have, of course, the final showdown between Queen's Quest and Stardom to be loser leaves the unit. So basically, that was a dissatisfaction for Momo Watanabe, but she had this to say about, that she would have been better off with disbandment. She is not, all this. But she wished this match could have been a, loser disbands type. So, who knows? So, we'll see what happens. Now, some interesting things coming ahead for her title match at Stardom the Conversion. Saori Anou gave a little details about her past. She was determined to become an aspiring actress, but apparently struggled with it, and she talked about this. Let me pull that up right now. There was times I went home crying because someone told me you'll never be successful. At the time, I was working part-time at a sushi restaurant in Roppongi at a nearby gas station and as a temporary worker. However, I was 20 years old and at that age where I wanted to have fun. I had no money because I went out to have fun, so I couldn't pay my rent. Then the gas, electricity, finally the water were all cut off. I called my parents in tears and borrowed money, but I felt self loathing for causing trouble to my parents even after turning 21. But before I knew it, I started playing pachinko from early on in the morning. That's when I met Sakaguchi from At-Risk Girls, and she laughed about it. And she talked about, you know, her time with At-Risk Girls producing popular wrestlers, and this is what she said. I know this was a bad way to put it, but most of the At-Risk Girls chose the path of pro wrestling because they weren't successful as actresses. That's what I think that the feeling of I can't fail here again that felt every encountering pro wrestling is makes it more stronger. At least that's it is for me. As I continue wrestling, many of my dreams came true. Completely different feel to acting. At first, I wasn't recognizing as a pro wrestler, but was told a lot of harsh things. Don't disrespect it. But I think it's because those words that all girls were in at-risk girls were able to work hard and put up until now. So basically, as you all know, we have seen many wrestlers were unsuccessful in previous jobs before becoming. It's like, for example, Tam Nakano. Those who know this, she used to be an underground idol singer. The group that she was in disbanded, and she didn't know what to do. She joined, of course, to become a wrestler, and she ended up in At-Risk Girls. That's how she met Saori Anou. We had that with models like Yuki Kamifuku, who was unable to find work as a model, and she turned into wrestling. So we've seen that with many wrestlers who came from those type of backgrounds. But no surprising there, but it's understandable. I didn't know about this about Saori Anou, even though I'm a fan. But yeah, that's what really happened. So I think that's pretty much it we have. So I think this time I can say we are officially done with our reviews and we caught up with our news updates. So it's time to call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed this episode. Coming up, as you know, we have NXT. I apologize that I did not put another review before that. I was caught with other things that I had to do. But right now, I'm focusing on this. For our next episode, we do have NXT. It will be a priority, and we'll go forward from here on out. But until then, we'll just leave things as it is, and I'll just surprise you guys on the next episode. So until then, I'll see you guys next time. So I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye, and have a nice day. Bang.